Uno, dos, one, two, tres, cuatro.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to Rethink Your Legacy. My name is Francisco Servent, and if this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. Glad to have you as part of the conversation today. This show, Rethink Your Legacy, is something that I created. We started a little more than a year ago, and it is absolutely intended to help you navigate just the hardest things in life. I am an estate planning attorney. We do estate planning and asset protection out of Keystone Law Firm in Chandler, and I've just worked with families. Our team is amazing, and we help people go through some of the hardest things in life. The losing of a loved one, and sometimes even the disagreements among family members that come up around that stuff. So if you need help with that, give the office a call. It's 480-750-7788. But today here on Rethink Your Legacy, I am really excited I'm just excited because this week I got to celebrate my 20th wedding anniversary with my wife. And we've been married 20 years. I kind of can't believe it sometimes that it really, it's been 20 years. We got married in 2001, right before the September 11 events. And I remember that very, very clearly, of course. Being married 20 years has a lot. You learn a lot about yourself and about your spouse in a 20-year time period. There's not much that's left to learn other than learning new things, right? The amount of intimacy and commitment you have to be able to not just survive through 20 years, okay, check off the box, I got another day done. Not like that, but to actually have a relationship that is getting better every year. I pray that everybody gets to experience that. I know not everybody does, but it's really a special thing. And if there's something I hope you take away from my experience, is that it is possible to create that in your life. And so today I want to really go completely off the beaten path of estate planning and asset protection and tax planning and keeping the government out of our lives. And I want to really focus squarely on creating our life, creating the life that we want, creating the legacy that we want. It has been being married for 20 years is easy. That's just meant you were alive and you didn't move out, you didn't file, for divorce. Being married for 20 years isn't the success that I claim. My wife, Nicole, and we claim a successful marriage because of how amazing it has been and how we have created that life together. And so today I just want to focus and sort of go through some of the things we've been through, some of the challenges, I think, that we've been through. And I'm going to go through them in using a couple of points that I wish I would have seen this book earlier in my life. Man, what an amazing book, written in 1968 by somebody named O.G. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's O.G., the first name. Maybe it's Og. I don't know. Mandino. Og Mandino. It wrote this book in 1968. I don't know why I picked it up. Actually, no, I do know why. I was going through my sister's library, my sister's bookshelves, being super nosy, and we were visiting her up in Idaho. I'm going through her bookshelves. I'm like, oh, what kind of books does she have? Because she's been in education forever, so I figure she's probably got some good books in here. And I find that she had another book that I really wanted to read, which I am reading, And she saw me pick that one up and start reading, and she goes, "Oh, no, you need to read this one." And she grabbed this one and she said, "You'll love this." And it was a small book, kind of one of these little tiny books, not very long. It was small, like not the pages weren't big, like it's almost honestly like the size of a big iPhone. And it was only 100 and so pages, kind of bigger print, plenty of white space. And the title of it was The Greatest Salesman in the World. And I was kind of confused because my sister's in education. It's like she's been a teacher, an assistant principal, a principal. I mean, she's like at the top of the educational system, right? I mean, nothing to do with sales. And she hands me this book and says, "This is one of the best books I own." And she gave it to me, and I thought, "Oh, I can read this." And the time that we're here, so cracked that book open. I tell you, if you're going to read a book this summer, if you want a book recommendation from me, pick this book up. Og Mandino, The Greatest Salesman in the World. I'm going to pull a couple of concepts from this book to give you, I don't know, what I think are some potentially life-changing lessons. And I want to share with you how I've incorporated this, and my wife and I have incorporated these things into our life without even knowing, I just read this book, but incorporating them into our life over the last 20 years and what we've seen come from it. And I just encourage you, grab this book. I don't get any kind of commission on it at all. You're just going to go to Amazon. It's fantastic. And what I'm going to give away today is something that we created at my law firm over the years. And this thing has been added to and tweaked and modified and improved over the last 15 years. It is the tool that we generally we actually, I can't say generally, we only have ever given this to our clients. So somebody hires us, pays money, then we give this out. But you know what? One of the things that I want to do today is just give it away to you guys. It's a tool that I think, after reading this little book and sort of crystallizing some of these ideas, I think you could literally use this tool to ask yourself a series of questions that will put you on the path to a totally new life. And so I'm calling this tool the Ask Your Way to a Better Life tool. Okay? I mean, I really do. I believe. So anyway, go over to the website and get it. radio.keystonelawfirm.com. And get it. It's 10 pages of questions that, if we're honest with ourselves and we answer these questions, I think not only do we record some really important things down just for our sort of journal historical perspective, and maybe even capture some thoughts and some moments that we want to pass on to our loved ones, but I think it will let you ask yourself these questions in a way that you realize doesn't have to be the last answer to the questions. You know what I mean? Like somebody might say, what have you created in your life? And you can say, well, A, B, C, D, married, kids, I had this career, I did this. And that's all what was done up until now. But guess what? If you're listening to this message, right, it's not over for you. And so for those of you that, I don't know, that you feel that spark, you feel something inside of you, you're like, there's something more. There's something more to my life than just the grind. There's something more to my life than the failures that I've experienced in the past. There's something more than, just the 9 to 5, the disappointment that comes with so many things in life. This show is for you. That's what today's show is for. And though my law firm focuses on estate planning, protecting your assets, keeping you out of the nasty government system, making sure your family can inherit what you intend to leave behind. I think today's show is more about the life you can create, which maybe is a completely different life than you ever thought possible, and then leaving that legacy behind. Maybe now is the day where you start this new path that creates an entirely new legacy. So we're going to go through some of these principles, some of the experiences that I've had in my life that have helped me and my wife celebrate an amazing 20 years together. And I hope to pass this on to you. So go over to radio.keystonelawfirm.com. Just jump on your phone, type it in your browser, and you'll put your name, email, and it'll send it right to you. Get this tool. Ask your, what am I calling it? Ask your way to a better life. That's what this tool will give you. All right, we'll see you after the break to pick up on our first principle. Good morning and welcome back, everybody. This is Francisco Servent, and you're listening to Rethink Your Legacy, where we completely I want to get rid of all the ridiculous things that lawyers spout off out there, and I want you to know how to really protect your family. But today's a little different. Today is a show focused on I'm not focusing on dispelling the myths and the ridiculous things that lawyers do. I'm focusing on how I think we all can create an amazing life. My wife and I just celebrated our 20-year anniversary, and if all you did was watch the news, listen to the people who maybe even are in your life, watch movies, shows. I mean, all we hear out there is how impossible it is and how unlikely it is to create the life of your dreams. Really, we do, about how impossible it is and how nobody can do it, right? And today, I just want to share with you guys my experience on creating the life I have. Because my wife and we are now 20 years into a marriage that gets better every year. I know that maybe is not the common thing these days, but for somebody who has done it, is doing it, I know that I am also obligated to share how we've done it. And just this last week, while we were visiting my sister in Idaho, she handed me a book, said I would love it. The Greatest Salesman in the World. Highly recommend it, even if you're not in sales. It's written kind of from a salesman perspective, but the principles that are shared in there, oh my gosh, I wish I would have picked this thing up back when I was in high school. This book is amazing. And so I want to share with you a couple of the things that he teaches through that book that I know I have lived without even realizing it, because these are just timeless principles that are true no matter where you come from, no matter what, your origin story. I know mine was incredibly humble, and these principles were fundamental to the life that I currently live. And so why not make them part of your life? Why not choose to accept them as something that can be true in your life? And today we're giving you, to help you foster this, something that we only ever have given to our clients. And I'm creating it into something you can use without being one of our clients. It's a tool that I am now calling the Ask Your Way to a Better Life. It's 10 pages of questions that you can ask yourself, that you should ask yourself, to take a snapshot of where you are now, to capture some of the amazing lessons and stories and experiences you've had that you want to pass on. But then also, you know what? Guess what? You're here now. You're listening to this. You're going to download this. And you can do it at the website, radio.keystonelawfirm.com. Because you're still here, you still have more to create. You still have more life to live. Duh, right? You're here. You're hearing my voice. And if you have just felt that, I don't know, maybe it's disappointment, even feeling that internal disappointment, because that's where I was when I really, and I'll share this with you, but if you're feeling that just internal disappointment with your life, that internal struggle, that internal thought of, oh my gosh, that there's got to be something better, this cannot be it, then you've got this chance, even if it's just the rest of today, right? Even if God says for some reason, you know what, tonight I'm going to take you, and today's the last day you have, even if it's just the rest of today, you can completely change what the rest of your life looks like. So let's dig into it. I don't have time, during today's show to go through all 10 of the principles that he lays out in this book. I've picked a couple that I think just resonate with me a little bit more. And so the first one is, I will form good habits and become their slave. Think about that. So this is the first principle he lays out in the book. I will form good habits and become their slave. And think about your life. So, you're here, maybe you're on your commute home from work, you work the graveyard shift, maybe you're on your way to work right now. I mean, it's early Sunday morning. You could be anywhere. Maybe you're sitting at home having a cup of coffee and you're getting just a little bit of, not 1,000 degree middle of the day temperature. Maybe you're actually sitting out back on the patio drinking coffee. Think about this for a minute. I will form good habits and become their slave. We all already are slaves to whatever habits we have. We all have habits. There's a book out there, The Power of Habit, I think. And it really highlights the fact that we are slaves to our habits. But in a good way, habits do make our lives simpler in a lot of ways. And we need that because we need some things in our life that are just simple, routine, rote. I don't need to reinvent the wheel every single day. So his first principle, I will form good habits and become their slave. We might as well be slaves to good habits. Duh. Right? So we're going to be slaves to our habits. We might as well form some good habits that we're slaves to. That good habits are going to produce, are they going to produce good results or bad results? They're going to produce good results. So if we create some good habits, we're going to experience the results of those good habits. I think, I don't remember what grade they started teaching cause and effect, in grade school. But as you get older, there's this whole notion that we kind of lose the critical thinking that goes between cause and effect in our adult lives, right? I mean, cause and effect is there whether we want it to be there or not. And so many bad results show up in our life, and we just want to throw our hands up and say, why did this happen? God doesn't love me. And yet, you can very clearly, if it's not your situation, you can very clearly look at somebody else's results and say, well, look, let me walk back 3 or 4 steps and say, you sort of chose this to happen. Like, you caused this to happen, right? And now, I don't misunderstand what I'm saying. There are things that happen in our life that we have no control over. I look back at my life as a kid, and I don't know if I've told you guys the story before. I think I did actually last year. when I was a kid, I got arrested twice, right? Junior high, high school. I was a punk, and I apologize to those of you out there that were the recipient of my bad choices. I ended up getting arrested, and when finally that last time in what was I, sophomore in high school, I think, I don't know, something woke up in me, and I think part was just going through the process of getting in all that trouble with the police, the court system, the legal system, and having to make restitution and go through all of that. I don't know, something made me just look back to the earlier decisions in my life of, who was I choosing to be friends with, what types of things I was choosing to do on the weekends, just all of those choices that I was making, the little choices, literally led directly to that. There was no blaming somebody else. I mean, I could literally trace that right back to my own choices. And it said, oh crap, I need to form some new habits. I need to make some new choices here. And that was the first big turning point in my life, was starting to make some new choices, some new habits as a teenager. And so this first lesson, I will form good habits and become their slave. Imagine if once a month you just decided to adopt a new habit, a good habit, a healthy habit. Once a month. Something simple. It could even be, I'm not going to eat dessert on Thursdays. Period. Right? It could be, I'm going to read one new book a year. Something educational, something good for me. Right? Let's do that. Go get your tool for today at radio.keystonelawfirm.com. Pop open your browser, download it. I want you to have that. That's my gift to you today, radio.keystonelawfirm.com. Welcome back. Good morning, everybody. This is Rethink Your Legacy, and my name is Francisco Servent, your attorney and problem solver at law. If you are just joining us for the first time, welcome. I'm really glad you're here. This is a different show today. I generally speak on topics that are sort of professional interest to me through my experience at Keystone Law Firm. But today we're going into something a little different. I'm sharing some principles of life, really, because my wife and I just celebrated our 20th anniversary. We have a really amazing marriage, and it gets better every year. And this last week, while we were visiting my sister in Idaho, she handed me a book, and it's this little book, and I want you all to get this. This book should be mandatory reading in high school. It's called The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino. No idea. It's 1968. I don't know why this book isn't out there more, but it's a super short, quick read. Go get it. I don't get a commission on it. Go get it, because this book has the potential to change your life. If you're out there, if you're struggling, whether you feel like you're just starting your life, you're kind of like just out of college, or just starting your career, just starting your family, or even if you're like a lot of my clients where you've been retired for 5, 10, 15 years, and you kind of feel like, you're on that the back nine. It's like, what else could I do? I'm at the end of my life. It doesn't matter what stage of life you're in, because I absolutely believe, because I've seen it, you can set the tone for what it looks like, for what your legacy is. And the principles in that book are amazing, so go get it. But what I'm giving away from my law firm is a tool we give our clients, because I want my clients, when you're thinking about your will, your trust, your estate, I want you to be thinking about some things that are more important than that, more important than the money, more important than saving taxes, more important than protecting your assets from creditors. I want you thinking about how this is going to affect your loved ones. How is this going to be remembered when you're gone? And when you're going through that process, it's hard to think of those things because we've never done it before. Our brains just aren't we don't have a framework to do that, to think like that. So we created this tool for our clients to give them, it's 10 pages, okay, this is really long, but it's 10 pages of questions to think about that stuff so that you can do that going forward. So you can pass this on going forward in a very intentional way. So what I'm calling this tool for you guys, the listeners of this show, it's the Ask Your Way to a Better Life, because I believe you can do that. So get that. You get this tool at radio.keystonelawfirm.com. Just type that in your browser, enter your name and email. The system will send it right to you. And use that. Use that tool. Help yourself. I don't know. I guess you don't have to. Maybe your life is perfect, but mine certainly wasn't. I needed some help along the way. And I think those list of questions can help a lot of you. Okay, the second principle from the book, again, the book is The Greatest Salesman in the World. Totally not, you don't need to be in sales at all. This book will change your life. My sister recommended this book, and she's a principal. She's an elementary school principal, so there you go. She doesn't do sales at all, and this was her favorite book on her bookshelf. So get, here's the second principle I want to cover. I don't have time to cover all 10, so I'm just cherry picking a couple. This second one, this one means more. This one is so dear to me. This is it. I will persist until I succeed. That's it. I will persist until I succeed. I knew this. I should say I've lived this before I knew how to say the principle, before I knew it was something you could choose to live by. I also have lots of moments in my life where I didn't live this. I think we all quit trying too soon. I think we hold certain people up in our society, in our culture, as, the uber successful, because they are, the Olympic athletes, the professional athletes, the uber successful, business owners, entrepreneurs, because, they've reached these levels of success that are extraordinary. When you talk to so many of them and you read their stories and their biographies and their, the struggles they've been through, if you really dig into it, most of their success comes from the fact that they kept persisting even when others quit. We all just quit too soon. A roadblock shows up and we stop. Something happens and we go, oh, there, see, that's proof that I shouldn't be doing this. That's proof that I can't do this. I got my bachelor's degree from University of Arizona. Go Wildcats, bear down. I got my law degree from ASU, so go Toros, right? Haha, I can cheer for both. But I finished with what I thought would be a highly desirable college degree. A Bachelor's of Science in Biosystems Engineering. Come on, right? Talk about a marketable degree. Geez, and I had done really amazing like extracurricular coursework, working in on a tractor design, on a whole a glucose sensor to design and build how to measure glucose like in the bloodstream. We did the engineering for a roadway. We did the engineering for a year-long study that got published in the Journal of Toxicology. I can't even remember what it was about. I was a credentialed. I graduated at the top of my class. I had a bachelor's in engineering, couldn't get a job. Nothing. Nope. I've sent out resumes. I had great letters of recommendation. Nothing. Okay. What does that mean? Well, for me at the time, it meant keep going to school, and I ended up going to law school. Okay, well, what did I do? I learned a massive lesson from that. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to persist. Guess what I did in law school? I changed my strategy. I learned from that quote unquote failure of not getting a job. I changed my strategy. While I was in law school, I didn't get more academic experience. I went and started working in law firms and for lawyers. And I got 3 years or 2.5 years of experience working for lawyers in law firms during law school. And I had 100% committed to my wife. I will have a job before I graduate. I will have a full-time job offer signed and sealed before I graduate. And I did. No questions, no ifs, ands, or buts, no excuses, period. And I did. Look back to the major successes in history. Edison, how many times did he fail to create the light bulb? But he didn't care. He knew, he saw in his mind, it's going to happen. And he just kept persisting, kept persisting, kept persisting. Ford, he had to go tell his own engineers, get back to the drawing board. You can create a V8 engine out of one cast whatever it was, steel, metal, I don't know. You can do it. And they kept saying, nope, it's not possible. And he just kept persisting year after year after year after year. Finally, they did it. Persistence is the key in life. If you want anything in life, you have to persist past all reasonable, rational explanations when all the roadblocks are still there. You persist. You figure out a way around them. You figure out a new way over them. You figure out a new way under them. Figure out a new way through them. Or figure out a way that doesn't even take that roadblock into account. That's what success is. And it doesn't mean money. It doesn't mean fame. It means just whatever it is you desire in your heart that's good and helps people and helps you, helps your loved ones. It's all about I will persist until I succeed. Because if you are committed to do it until you succeed, then you'll never fail. It'll always just be one learning step after another. So go get your questions. The tool I'm giving you today, I think, can change your life. And I want you to start. I want you to have that opportunity. Ask your questions to a better life. That's the tool. Go to radio.keystonelawfirm.com. It's 10 pages for you to ask your way to a better life. You have it within yourself. That's what's so neat about these things, is it's already in each of us. Trust me, I failed. I got arrested. I was on the bottom of the bottom. And here I am. Right? You can do it too. So go get your tool. Ask your way to a better life at radio.keystonelawfirm.com. We'll see you after the break. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Francisco Servent. This is Rethink Your Legacy, and today is just a different day, guys. It's I got to celebrate my 20-year anniversary with my wife this week, and we had a great time. And so reflecting back, that's what we do. We reflect back on our life, and I reflected, and it just so happened that while we were visiting my sister in Idaho, she gave me this book. Highly recommend this book. The Greatest Salesman in the World has application for all of you out there, whether you're in sales or not. My sister is a principal at an elementary school. She's not in sales at all. And she pulled off of her bookshelf and said, "This is my favorite book. Read it." She said, "You'll love it." And I did. And so I'm pulling some of the principles out of that book because these are principles that I didn't know I was trying to live by, but it just so clearly distilled them. This last principle it's the last principle I have time to cover. It's only the 5th one in the book that, so you got to get the whole book. The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino. So go do that. But what I'm giving you from myself is the list of questions that we actually give our clients at our law firm, Keystone Law Firm, when we're doing your estate plan. This is a massive, massive list of questions. I know it's really long, but because we want to foster this conversation for a long time, for as long as you're alive, I want this conversation going with my clients, but I'm giving it to you guys here on today's show. It is a tool you can use to ask your way to a better future. It's questions, and if you have the courage and the I don't know, if you've just felt in your life that disappointment, that life really just kind of, it's not all it was cracked up to be, you know, like people said there would be success, people said it would be great, and you're just not finding that, you're just not experiencing that. You can ask yourself these questions and use them to change the course of your life. Use the principles in the book, use the principles I've talked about today, and then use this last one. It strikes me in my heart every day. So here it is. You guys, if you're still listening, congratulations. Good for you. You're among the few brave people who are willing to. And here's the last one. I will live this day as if it's my last. Yeah, that's one of the principles he put in the book. I will live this day as if it's my last. Imagine if we actually did that. It's hard to do that. I think it's hard to do that because of the intensity it would evoke. But imagine if we did that. I'm gonna give you a quote from the book because it just sums it up. He says, "And what shall I do with this last precious day, which remains in my keeping? First, I will seal up its container of life so that not one drop spills itself upon the sand. I will waste not a moment mourning yesterday's misfortunes, yesterday's defeats, yesterday's aches of the heart. For why should I throw good after bad? Can sand flow upward in the hourglass? Will the sun rise where it sets and set where it rises? Can I relive the errors of yesterday and right them? Can I call back yesterday's wounds and make them whole? Can I become younger than yesterday? Can I take back the evil that was spoken, the blows that were struck, the pain that was caused? No. Yesterday is buried forever, and I will think of it no more." Look, and that's the end of the quote. All we have is today. All we have are these moments. I cannot relate to you. You all know somebody, or you've seen the story of somebody whose life was taken too young, was taken before it was expected. You know, in Arizona, we have 2 people every day who die in a car accident. You know, they were just headed off to work. They were or on their way home. They were taking their kids to school. They were on their way home from dropping their kids off. They were going to the grocery store. They were running errands. They were just doing day-to-day stuff. They're doing what you're going to do today, what I'm going to do today. Or somebody who died from a massive stroke or a massive heart attack, way too young. I mean, how many times do we hear that? None of us are guaranteed tomorrow. None of us are guaranteed tomorrow. Why do we put off the things that are most important? Yeah, someday I want to get around to actually making a difference in my spouse's life, my kid's life, my employee's life, my church member's life. Someday I'll get around to really changing things and making them better. Oh my gosh, will you please stop waiting for someday? Someday never. Someday is never. Someday is literally the same as never. You can't promise to do it someday. That is not a promise at all. Today is the only day. So, yeah, that's the last principle. Go get the questions that I want you to have, because these questions are things you should answer today so that you can start living today as if it's your last day. Because guess what? I mean, whether you believe, the historical accuracy of the Bible or not, think of the principle that Jesus, just think of just as even a teaching concept where he's hanging on a cross. I don't know if you know the story, and there's two people hanging on crosses next to him that were true criminals, right? And one of them turns to him and says, like, "Oh my gosh, forgive me. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is my last day on earth." And they both die, or Jesus and the two others, they die that day. But Jesus, before he dies, he tells the guy, like, "Hey, look, you're going to be with me in paradise, whether you believe, in the afterlife, you believe in God, you believe in the Christian teachings or not." Just think of the concept that on his deathbed, he wanted to change his life. Does that mean it was too late? Does that mean, well, like, sorry, buddy, you're not allowed to do that? I think for him, his life was changed. Whether other people believed it or not didn't matter. I think for him, his life was changed. And if we lived every day knowing that this is my last chance, this might really be my last chance, and I want you guys to know you can take today and live it as if it were your last. Because there's no reason to work all day somewhere you hate to work, or to commit years of your life grinding and grinding in a career you hate, a job you hate, just so that someday down the road you might be able to take a vacation. I don't believe that's what we're called to do. I don't believe that that's what is right. I don't believe that that's what's good or of value. I believe that today you should start doing what you were called to do, because there's another principle we didn't get to, but I'll just briefly mention it too. You are nature's greatest miracle. I believe each of you are God's greatest miracle. None of us will ever be copied or duplicated or replicated. None of us has our experience, has your pattern of speech, has your beliefs, has your passions, has your desires, has the audience you might be able to communicate to. Each of us is called to do something with our life. And so my gift to you is to go get these questions. Go download this list. Ask your way to a better life. It's just a series of questions. I mean, how hard could that be? You could spend today just picking a couple questions, asking yourself those questions, and finding that next step to your better life. Go to radio.keystonelawfirm.com, radio.keystonelawfirm.com. I know there's a lot of you out there that are disappointed, that are struggling, that are frustrated with some aspect of your life. And I hope you get this gift from me. I hope you do. All right, that's all we have for the show today. If you need help with something else, something along the legal stuff, please call our firm. Don't hesitate. The first call is free. And you can just call or text 480-750-7788. My team will be happy to help. We'll set up your first phone call and you'll just tell us what's going on. My team will help figure out what the next step is. All right, everybody, go out there. This is your last chance to make a difference. Don't lose it.